Good morning, everybody. Last show of the year. Welcome. Welcome. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. Hope you're ready for the show. Hope you're wired up. We're going to do a recap of the year, some of the great things that have been going on this year. We're also going to talk about some breaking news out of China. So without further ado, let's get to it. Morning, everybody. I hope your coffee's as good as mine. What a good day, man. I tell you what, this is just last day of the year, folks. This is it. This is it. 2023 is history. Ah, man, what a year. What a year. I've been going over just a few things just to do a recap, some of the good things that have happened, wrap up some news on some of the major events that we've happened. Where are we now? And I tell you, this is an amazing year, folks. Thank you, Sherry Foster. Sherry, I appreciate the support. Joe Biden could just drop the mic and walk off the stage and be one of the most successful presidents our country has ever known. I mean, he really could. He could just call a press conference, walk out, drop a mic, walk off, and still be one of the most successful presidents our country's ever known. Of course, the corporate media wouldn't say that because, they don't. We're going to talk a little bit about that and the things that they've been talking about. But, oh, good Lord, what a year. What a year. But we've got some breaking news out of China, folks. In the last 24 hours, there's been a purge going on in China. The legislature in China is known as the National People's Congress. It's known as the National People's Congress. And it is a little different than ours. It is. Everybody serves in the National People's Congress. They're 5-year terms. When I say everybody, I mean the military. You have generals in the National People's Congress. They serve a 5-year term like all the other elected officials. The generals that have been serving in the National People's Congress, 9 of them yesterday, or day before yesterday, actually, in the evening, disappeared. They're gone. Not all of them have, disappeared. We've seen this happen before. They'll pop back up, but not in their jobs anymore. See, China has been trying to modernize. They have been spending exorbitant amount of money for them. I mean, a lot of money, trying to catch up with us militarily. They have. Oops. John Edgar, happy New Year's, Texas Paul. Got my Dunkin' iced tea and it's been good. I got my Dunkin' coffee. Oh, by the way, I want you to know, Dunkin' coffee is on sale at Sam's right now. If you like Dunkin', that's my daily drink, by the way. I'd love to know what y'all, my day to day is Dunkin'. That's what we brew up in our pot. So, but it's on sale. They've got it marked off $6. Normally $21 for a thing of Dunkin'. It's $15 right now at Sam. I'm telling you, folks, it's just a side note. Don't waste money. Look for those sales. You're not above it. You aren't. Let me, God bless Mrs. Texas Paul. She can squeeze a quarter so tight she can make the Eagles scream. I'm telling you, that's what you want. That's what you want in a partner. I'm not kidding you. Not everybody's got income laying around where they can go stock up and bulk up and this, that, and the other. I get that. I've been there most of my life. But now we're at the point where we were walking through Sam's and saw that the Dunkin' was on sale. And so we bought a couple because we saved $6 per container. We put a $20 bill in our pocket. We're going to use it. It ain't going to go bad. It won't go stale in the amount of time it sits in our pantry. So there you go. Be that way. I see a lot of people complaining about grocery prices and everything else. And I know for a fact, those people are not looking at how much things cost before they stick them in their basket. Hell, you got Coca-Cola trying to get you to pay $12. I'm not kidding. Around here, it got as high as $12 a 12 pack for sodas, and people were paying it. It just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. People were just putting them in their basket. I'm like, are you out of your mind? If you pay attention to the sales circulars, my wife has apps. She gets all the sales circulars. I know I'm going off on a tangent. I'll get back to the news. I promise you. But she gets all the sales circulars. She runs through it. And, we will not pay more than $4. I'll drink water before I'll pay $4 for a 12 pack. Coupons and sales markdowns afford me a quality lifestyle. Absolutely, Dean Baker. Absolutely. Because by the time you add it all up, it makes a huge difference. Thank you, Joelle Reedy. I appreciate you. Smash the thumbs up. It makes a huge difference in your lifestyle, and it does. It eats up some of that time that you'd be using to spend money on your entertainment and whatnot. You go through the sales circulars. It's a good thing, folks. It really is. Don't waste money. Don't waste money. Anyways, rant over. Okay, I said rant over. One last thing. It's a good comment right here. Paul Young. It's free money. It's more than free money. It's income. It's income. You're paying yourself income. You are. And your lifestyle is better. Because once you start watching the sales circulars, you end up with better cuts of meat. You end up with, because you watch for it. You do. You're like, okay, nothing on sale and meat. We're going to skip the meat purchases this week. There's nothing on sale. Next week, there'll be some good cuts of meat on sale. You go stock up on them. That's the way to do it. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate. Last time I mentioned this, man, some of the emails I got were like, how dare you classist, da, 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 da. I'm not. I've been poor, folks. I've been poor. I started my life out as a welder and a mechanic. Believe me, you start poor in both those professions. Now, you can work your way up to making some decent money in both of them, but you start poor. Exactly. And Marlo, that's the way it is. What's on sale. So yeah, that's my rant. But back to China. What's going on in China? They're having a huge corruption issue. They've boosted their national defense budget up to about $250 million a year. Give you an idea. Ours is a little over 800 million. We're almost up to $1 trillion in our defense budget. We're about 4/5 of $1 trillion. They're up to $250 billion. But here's the thing. Not really. They're actually dumping more than that because, a dollar goes a hell of a lot farther in China than it does here in the United States. $250 million in just direct currency exchange. Really, if you do the math on it, works out to their budget is it's almost where ours is. It works out to about $700 billion once you convert it over to their actual costs versus our actual costs and just do the, shit's just cheaper in China. It just is. They don't pay what we pay. Chengdu, the company that makes their 5th generation fighter, Chengdu Avionics, they don't pay what our defense contractors pay hourly wages. The material costs are different They just are. So yeah, their $250 billion budget is almost equivalent to ours, but they're not getting bang for their buck, folks. They're not, and they just took and they're purging. They're purging right now. These generals got that influx of money, and they party. They had a good time. They went out and hookers and booze and high life and travel, and they just had a blast. And China didn't get much for it. And I'll give you an example. This is the Chinese much vaunted Fujian aircraft carrier. Look at that bad boy. You scared? Look at it. You scared? This is their answer to our Gerald R. Ford, our Ford class. It's the Type 3. Whew. That's pretty, isn't it? Yeah. There's a couple problems with it. This is their Type 2. Let me give you a comparison here, okay? This is their Type 2. This is the Xingdong. That was the Fujian, by the way. This is the Xingdong. Okay, this is their Type 2. It was in one of them embarrassing World War I looking, got the lip that points upward kind of thing right here, this thing right here on it, and that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing, folks. Let me tell you, just FYI. What determines whether a plane is going to fly off an aircraft carrier has nothing to do with whether the nose is pointing up when it leaves the carrier or straight when it leaves the carrier. You'll notice none of our carriers do this. None of our carriers have that lip. They haven't since like World War I. Because that makes no difference. If a plane is going to fly, there's only one thing that matters. How much air is traveling across the wings? The attitude of the nose makes no difference. It's airspeed. That's it. That's it. A fully loaded fighter with a full load of armaments and fuel. The math is just really simple. It's got to reach X airspeed for it to generate lift, and then the plane will fly. Putting a ramp on it, that's like elementary school shit. It's like, it doesn't matter. If the plane doesn't have airspeed, it's going to go right in the water. It's just the way it works. You'll notice that on our aircraft carriers, when you get a fully loaded fighter taking off, they'll, or a fighter bomber or whichever plane, whether it's an F-22 or an whichever plane the Navy is throwing off the front of their boat with we've got the new magnetic catapults now. I mean, whatever they're throwing off the front of that boat, a lot of times when it's loaded out, it will come off the end of the boat and it'll drop. It'll drop about 5-10 feet and keep flying. That's because it's really heavy when it's taken off. It's fully loaded. Happy New Year, Marcia. Happy New Year. So yeah, that's just embarrassing. The Xingdong, I mean, that's like World War I technology. I mean, it was just embarrassing. So they're like, well, we're going to get at it, man. We're going to build the Fujian. Let's take another look at one thing I want you to notice real quick before we get rid of I delete the Xingdong. I want you to notice one thing right here. You see this? You see these? That's ship's radar. You notice there's a couple different ones there, there's a couple different ones. They do different things. You can actually tell what they are by the size and the shape. Right? See all those? Let's go to the Fujian. The Fujian it hasn't made it through sea trials yet, by the way. They've had problems. One of the problems that they have with the Fujian is where's the radar? It's got one little, and that's a Doppler. You can tell by the shape and size of it. That's weather radar, man. That's weather radar right there. That's it. This ship has no radar systems. It has no combat radar systems. This is your top of the line, supposed to make me quake in my boots, badass aircraft carrier. Take a look at that. It's got no radar. It's got no radar. And then they did what are called mooring trials. That's not even sea trials, folks. I mean, we're talking this thing went out in moderate seas and anchored, and it cracked. I'm not even kidding. It broke. It broke. You know, I've got some of those Chinese welding rods. I do. I mean, they're cheap. You can go out and get a 7018 mower deck on the back of my tractor. Cracks. Yeah, I'll break out one of those 7018s and I'll just, or a 6018 if it's dirty, hit it with a wire brush and just clean it up. You know, if it's rusty. You can't do that making ships. You just can't. I mean, these ships, they have to flex. I mean, these big boats, when they're traveling, they'll do this. They'll do this. The boat itself will flex outward. The hull will flex outward and inward, allowing the boat to flex like this, going through the seas. We're kind of good at building those, you know. Theirs broke in moderate seas. Their boat broke, man. So yeah, over the last decade, one of the most dangerous jobs in China has been overseeing this project. You know, China said everything's going swimmingly, everything's going great, everything's perfect, but the people that running the Fujian project, the Type 3, kept disappearing. So yeah, I mean, the same thing that's happening now, except for the purges last night are a little scarier because they have to do with the Chinese ICBM fleet. It's their missile jockeys were the ones that all disappeared last night. I keep saying last night, folks. Just run with it. I mean, night before last, but yeah, last night. You know, you get what I mean. 9 of them. And historically, we've seen this happen before. What'll happen is they'll clear out those top tier. They'll arrest them immediately. Deputies will be acting for a little bit, and then the deputies will get arrested because they're usually part of what's going on. And then you'll get another tier that disappears. So you can probably expect 3-fold more generals to disappear. It is a bit scary because they were also, you know, it wasn't just this aircraft carrier they were spending all their money on. They were supposed to be modernizing their ICBM fleet, for the lack of a better word. And yeah, it's not happening. It's not working out. See, Russia has the same problem China does. It's really great, and India does too, and Pakistan, and you know, Israel not so much because we take care of Israel's ICBM nuclear weapons, but they're expensive, and the reason they're expensive is they don't last. They don't last. Weapons grade nuclear material doesn't stay in a weapons grade state forever. You have to do things to it. There's a lot of manipulation that makes it, you know, for you to be able to drive it into supercritical and cause a nuclear explosion. It doesn't stay that way. It doesn't naturally occur in nature that way. It doesn't want to be that excited and that concentrated and that intense, for the lack of, without getting too technical about it. So yeah, about every 15 years, and we do it about every 10, you've got to go in and you got to pull those warheads off and replace them. Yeah, and it's expensive. It's like $30,000 a pound to replace these warheads. I mean, it's not cheap. It's really freaking expensive to be a nuclear power, and Russia hasn't been doing it. They have a fleet. You'll see threats all the time from the right wingers. Oh, you don't want to be in a nuclear war with Russia. They've got the biggest nuclear weapons in the world. No, they don't. They got a fleet of dirty bombs. That's what they've got, is a fleet of dirty bombs. And we as much told them. They're like, well, we're pulling out of our nuclear treaty. Go ahead. You don't have anything. Well, we're going to do more research. No, you're not. No, you're not. We've seen your budget. We know where you're not spending your money. Your ICBMs are trash, period. But we'll let you pretend. Go ahead. China has the same problem, but China, they want to be the real deal. They really do. And they have spent the money to become the real deal. The only problem is what we're seeing today to land this plane. They have an extreme corruption problem. We'll get cost overruns, and then we'll do some accounting and we'll find out where it went and what the money was spent on. China, their defense dollars just evaporate. I mean, it just does. And Xi just about had a belly full, because he had a meeting with Joe Biden not too long ago. And he walked up to Joe Biden, and one of the first things he said is, "Get out of Taiwan. We're going to take Taiwan, period. That's it. Taiwan will be China." And Joe Biden went, "Sure, man. Okay." You keep telling yourself that. And she didn't like that. She did not like that. Of course, the mainstream media ran with Russia's talking points and China's propaganda talking points, saying that, oh, she was tough with Biden. He talked tough to Biden. They didn't tell you the part where Biden laughed in his face. He did. He laughed in his face. They said, we're going to take Taiwan. And Joe Biden, you've seen the look on his face, went, keep telling yourself that. That was their response. Keep telling yourself that. And that's what I want to talk about today, folks. I want to talk about reality versus the bullshit we're being fed. China's, the bullshit we're being fed is China. Oh man, they're really, they've got the Chengdu J-20 Dragon fighter. Their fighters are better than ours. No, they're not. Their Chengdu J-20 doesn't even have a cannon on it. You know what that means? We spot it, it dies. It can't dogfight. Yeah, I mean, missiles are great until you have to fight another plane. Then not so much. I mean, it's just really, these planes close rank on each other. It's over. It's over. The F-35 is a flying pig. It's not a real dogfighter either, but it's got a cannon on it. If it has to fight, it can fight. Now, an F-22 is going to rip it out of the sky. Exactly, my friend. Tiberius D says the Raptor and F-35 AMRAAMs would like a word. Yeah, exactly. And they keep saying things like you can't see our aircraft. You can't see it. Yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. We've spent more money than your calculators will count out to build our stealth aircraft, and they're really stealth. I mean, literally, really stealth. Yeah, exactly, Tiberius D. When you take a close look at the J-20, it's riveted together. What that means, folks, is that when it flies, one, it makes a lot of noise beyond jet noise. Okay. It pops and crackles and everything else. Snap, crackles, and pops when it flies. And two, it ain't real smooth. So when radar hits it, even 10% of that radar signature gets hit, but that's enough. That's enough. F-35 will end you. Our F-35s have no seams on them. They are completely, they're smooth as a baby's butt. They really are, until you hit the magnetic absorbing paint, which is, if you look at it under a microscope, it's really craggy so that it won't reflect anything directly back. It's amazing stuff, folks. We spend a lot of money on our defense, but we get a lot in return. We really do. The F-35 is an amazing aircraft. It's not a dogfighter. It's not an F-22. The F-22 is an air superiority beast. It is. It's just nothing stands toe to toe with all the technology systems. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. China's been trying to catch up, and they can't, because they're just an innately corrupt government, and they're having a purge. So yeah, the point of that is 2023, all 2023, the Republicans and the mainstream media has been telling you, Taiwan. Oh my God, China's going to take Taiwan. You know, I had Philip Bittner on the show. We were talking about this. We both laughed. I mean, China's going to take Taiwan. Yeah, right. No. If China goes anywhere, they're going west, not east. Russia is collapsing. China is very interested in the minerals and the oil out west, going towards Baku and that area. That is where China would be heading, period. So yeah, Taiwan, 2023, Taiwan, that was bullshit. That was our corporate media spreading bullshit, trying to get clicks. Our corporate media has a habit of repeating Chinese and Russian propaganda. It's bullshit. Taiwan is sleeping very soundly tonight, because while China in the future may get their shit together and may get a somewhat advanced military and may actually be a threat, they're not. They're not right now. They have bigger fish to fry. The second Chinese story that we have for you is this. I hate linking Reuters stories because they eat up so many resources, because they have constant videos running in the back. But yeah, China's December factory activity contracted more than expected. The Chinese PMI index, that's Trina Longa says, we humans are odd animals. We invent and spend a lot to kill each other. Happy New Year. Trina Longa, hang in there. Thank you for that, because I'm actually about to talk about that when I talk about the Middle East. I'm gonna cover events that have happened this year, where they're going, what our 2024 outlook is. That's one of the things we're gonna talk about, is that exact sentiment right there. Thank you. I love you people. You're not talking. I talk to morons so much. I live in Texas. The majority of Texans are great. They're people just like you, smart. They know shit. They keep up. They may not know the nitty-gritty details that I follow, but they know generally what's going on. But man, Republicans, there are Republicans here that just don't know shit. And talking to them is painful. You people, I love talking to you. And yes, India is very mad at, thank you, Christopher Beslin. I appreciate that comment. India is very mad at Iran, and Iran has a big problem on its hands right now, folks, but I'm going to get to it. I'm not quite there yet. It's something. It is something. I'm telling you, folks, remember old Texas Paul telling you this. Paul Young says lead paint, Texas, but I've been saying there is some environmental factor that we're going to find that is making people stupid as crap. We had lead before, and we quit putting lead in gasoline because it was all over the place. It was in our kids. We're going to find out it's something. No, I don't think it's 5G. TK, you're hilarious, my friend. You are hilarious. If you don't know, the Republicans have been running a conspiracy theory about 5G forever. It's going to take over your brains and make you a zombie. But yeah, no, China. Let's wrap up with China. Okay. I want to move on to Russia and Ukraine. China, their factory orders were expected to increase slightly. They decreased slightly, which, if you factor those two things together, is a pretty substantive shortage over what was expected. And Trish had a question here. My producers feed me. Trish, who hates USA more, China or Russia? Actually, that's Russia by a million miles. China doesn't hate us. They really don't. They don't hate us. China has 1 billion people on their hands, and they are trying to do the best they can for their people. They just are. That is 90% of what China does. China is not looking to rule the world. China is looking to feed its people. And that's a great question. That's what I want to wrap up with. Forgive me. I should have muted that. But yeah, China has a problem on its hands. They never came out of COVID. They just didn't. Not medically and not economically. They never came out of COVID. And I want to put this to bed, folks. COVID escaped from a lab. It did. It really did. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not crazy. China won't admit it because that gives them culpability and responsibility. They won't cooperate with any of the investigations, because if China's responsible for what happened to the world, they're responsible for what happened to the world. So no, they're never going to say we did it. They know they did it, but they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't. They fucked up. That's what happened. We study zoonotic diseases, people. We study zoonotic diseases. Those are diseases that jump from animals to humans. We know for a fact the most dangerous diseases in the world are zoonotic diseases because they're 90% there to being harmful to humans. All they have to do is that last little turn the corner. And then we've got a disease that came out like COVID, like the Spanish flu did, that we've got no immunity to, and it kills millions of people. So we study them. There are labs all over the world. Every major university system in the world has a zoonotic disease lab where they study these. China is a critically important one because bats are close to human beings. Medically, the diseases that affect bats are this close to being able to have effect in human beings. Those viruses come and go. They do. You have viruses in your body right now that are from animals that just don't affect you. They don't. Gregory. So they made the 5G signs with lead paint. Okay. You guys crack me up, man. Y'all are funny. And you know what's funny is you have to actually be smart to understand that joke. You know? Oh, had to break out my mobile cussing pond cup because I'm doing some cussing. But yeah, let me wrap that up with, I really want to get off of China because we've got more to talk about and I don't want to go too long today. Folks, yeah, China, COVID escaped from a lab. Some of the most important, there are 3 main clusters of bats. If you go into southern China down to the equator, there are bat colonies down there that we study very closely. We know COVID came out of one of those bat colonies that we're studying it. Our scientists know that it wasn't a weaponized virus because you could make COVID much worse than it was. You can. And somebody somewhere in some lab that you never heard of is now weaponizing COVID. They are. Actually, they've got much worse, so they probably aren't. I take that back. There's much worse than what they can develop. But yeah, and you can look at a virus and know whether it's been weaponized or not, because you can look at the DNA. That's what they do, is they manipulate the DNA of a virus and make it as horrible as possible. That wasn't COVID. COVID was just a screw up, folks. And we know it. We tracked it back. A couple of the people that worked at the lab went to the hospital. And then the next thing you know, they said, well, it's coming out of the wet market. Well, the market was the freaking hub for all the infected people that went and bought food and spread it to each other. That's why we shut schools down during COVID. Because anywhere you got a hub of people that are going to be in close range, especially with those little kids, it wipes snot on everything. So yeah, sidetracked on that too. But anyways, China, wrap it up. Their economy never came out of COVID. It never did. They've been struggling since. Bidenomics all the way, baby. Our economy's leading the world. We've had the strongest recovery. We're going to look at some of the numbers there at the end of the show, looking into 2024, what we have to look forward to. But yeah, China is still flagging worse than we thought it was going to. They didn't meet predictions, and the predictions were bad. So you get a major economy in the world that's struggling. That's an anchor. Russia's economy, we're doing it to them, but their economy struggling is bad for the world. It really is. It's bad for the world. You want these economies humming and blowing and going. You do. But until they get out of Ukraine, screw them. But that's what's going on with China. They are still seeing problems because they had their fake real estate economy, and the whole entire world has pulled their money out of their fake real estate, and that's what they're looking at. Speaking of Ukraine, moving on to Ukraine, let's do a take. Let's do a take on what's been going on in Ukraine. And I want to talk about the corporate media for a minute. This is Kherson. This is the Crimea. This is southern Ukraine. The purple are the advances the Ukrainian armies made. The red is, they say that this is Russian controlled. It's not. It's not. Since then, the Ukrainian armies actually forded across Kherson and have beachheads in the Crimea. This is today's map from the BBC, but it's inaccurate. What I want to leave you with in Ukraine is watch the stories that come out about it. Watch what the media says about it. Just watch. They talk about Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine's in trouble. Their offensive has just failed. Their offensive has failed. They haven't made inroads. No, folks. No. Ukraine did not invade Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia made it almost to Kyiv before they were stopped. Ukraine has driven them back to the point where Russia is down in the Crimea and on the very eastern edge of the country. And Russia dug trenches, mined the crap out of the territory. This is World War I trench warfare going on the very edges of Ukraine. Rich Lawton, man, good to see you. Happy New Year, everyone. A chance to getting Phil on for Ukraine. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've got a guest coming in Wednesday, and later on this week, I want to talk to Phil about what's going, especially about everything that's been happening in around Avdiivka. There's a lot to talk about in Ukraine, but we're going to do this, and I love talking to Phil. I really do. Phil is very knowledgeable, lives in Ukraine. He's back in the States for a while, so we should be able to get him pretty easily. Tiberius is Philip Ittner. He's a correspondent that has been living in Ukraine for years. So yeah, the reporting out of the corporate media follows Russian talking points. Ukraine is failing. Folks, Ukraine is not failing. Russia is failing. Russia invaded Ukraine. They have been pushed back to the very edges of the country. They have dug in, built bunkers. You've got the tank traps. That's where they're at. That's not Russia's goal. Russia wants all of Ukraine like they used to have. Ukraine used to be a vassal state of Russia. They had corrupt government that did whatever Russia wanted. That's what Russia wants. And they're failing miserably in getting that. And their economy is collapsing. They're not going to survive this war. If Russia does not withdraw from Ukraine, they're not going to survive this war. They're just not. And we're starting to see some unrest east of the Urals. We've had a Putin loyalist fly out of a window. And this wasn't somebody Putin was mad at this time, folks. This was actually a Putin loyalist. Out a window he went. So yeah, we're starting to see unrest around central Russia and in Siberia. These people have, think of them like the Inuits, or the folks living in Alaska, the natives living in Alaska. Yeah, they're American, but a lot of them aren't real freaking happy about it. Same thing with Siberia. Yeah, they're Russian. The Sakha people, they're Russian, but they're not really freaking happy about it. Wouldn't mind a little independence. That's what Putin's looking at. He's not going to make it another year through this war, folks. But the Republicans, or as I like to say, the Russians in our government and the corporate media are more than happy to spin this crap that somehow Ukraine is failing. And it's bullshit. Ukraine didn't invade Russia. Ukraine has pushed Russia back to the outskirts. Absolutely 250. I don't know how to pronounce that. 250 KOM, HM, the Judas Caucus. I'm just going to call them the Russians from now on. But our media toes that line. If you go look at the headlines, when I was going through headlines today, Ukraine stalled. No, Ukraine is not stalled. They're still slowly making headway. But they're not the invaders. The invaders are moving backwards. That's a failure, folks. Russia is failing in Ukraine. That's the headline. And that's what I want to leave you with as far as Russia's concerned. This month, Russia gained another point of inflation. That's counter to what the entire world is doing right now. Everybody's inflation is coming down. Ours has come down dramatically. Russia's went up another point, another full point this month with no demand on their goods whatsoever. Their economy is in the shitter and they're facing inflation. That's horrible news. They're on the verge of collapse. By summer, mark my words, mark it down. Call me out on it this summer if it's not already happening. But by this summer, you're going to see hyperinflation in Russia, or Russia withdrawing from Ukraine. One of the two. So yeah, Go into 2024 feeling good about that. There's not going to be a world war in Europe. There just isn't. I know the Republicans spent a year, all of 2023, telling you, oh my God, we're going to have a nuclear war with Russia. No, we're not. Russia doesn't have nukes anymore. Russia's got dirty bombs. And so, no, we're not going to have a nuclear war with Russia. And no, because of Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken and all the hard work that this government's done, no, this war's not going to spread across Europe. Russia's going to collapse. And that's what we're looking at in 2024. Look at that future, my friends. Is China going to invade Taiwan? Hell no. Hell no. Denise LaRose says, thanks, Texas Paul, for all you do. Happy New Year. Thank you. You're welcome. But that's China and that's Ukraine. Let's talk about the Middle East and what's going on there. The Houthis, I know last week there's actually one more thing I want to talk about with Russia. I just reminded myself. Back at the height of the Cold War, the American population was 225 million people. About 225 million people. Our current population, we've added about 100 million people since then. About a 30% increase in population. Russia at the height of the Cold War had a population of 150 million people. What do you think their population is today? I want to do this game. We talk to each other. This is interactive. You're part of the show just as much as I am. I want to see in the comments. Without Googling, don't Google it. Guess. Don't cheat. With all of reproduction and everything, what do you think Russia's population is today? Well, there's some good guesses out there. Some good guesses. Officially, it's 144 million people. In the same time frame, we gained 100 million people in our population. They've lost 6 million people officially. Now, let me tell you a little bit about that official number. Yeah, exactly, Trina. It's actually closer to 140 million people because we know they're fudging the numbers. They've lied about the number of young men that have fled the country. We know that. We know that because we see the numbers of Russians immigrating to NATO countries. We know what the influx is. And the numbers don't match between what Russia says is leaving. Russia says this much is leaving, and this many people are showing up in NATO countries. So we know they're lying there to the tune of more than 500,000 people. And they're also lying about casualty statistics in Ukraine. Russia has been decimated, not just equipment, but men. This has been a brutal war for Russia. They went back to that World War II, just throw waves of soldiers at the enemy and watch them die. They're so desperate for soldiers, folks. Russia has a huge STD problem, sexually transmitted disease problem. About 12% of the Russian population has a serious STD. 2% of Russia's population have full-blown AIDS. 4% have full-blown Hep C. Their prisons are way worse. So what Russia is doing is they're taking prisoners and saying, you want antiviral medication? You want to live for another year? You're in the military now. And they're conscripting people with, tuberculosis is terrible. Tuberculosis is terrible. Can you pull that comment back up? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump it off. Parisia says, so I shouldn't get my mail order right from Russia. No, you should not. Even though there's plenty, because the majority of what Russia has lost is men. And this is not a misogynist statement. We still have traditional families where men are the breadwinners. A big portion of all societies are still that way. So yeah, Russia has lost men predominantly. Um, there are a lot of unmarried women that are not going to ever be married in Russia. But that's not necessarily a bad thing given the fact that they have such health problems. Yes, tuberculosis is horrible in Russia. STDs, AIDS, Hep C, they're finding soldiers with red armbands on. And they're having to be exceedingly careful in cleaning up these battlefields. You know, you can't leave. The Russians aren't picking up their soldiers anymore when they die. They're not. There used to be breaks in battle, and they would say, okay, get your casualties. Russia is leaving them on the field to create disease. That's what they're doing. Well, the Ukrainians started finding these soldiers with red armbands on, and then they put it together. Those are the soldiers with serious communicable diseases. They're fighting a biological war with living soldiers. That's how bad a shape Russia's in. So yeah, they're not. And I want you to think about the traitors in our own government, the J.D. Vances, the Russia Ron Johnsons, for a little check that are throwing in with that lot. They're throwing in with that lot. And how lazy our media has become. Our media is literally taking, you saw this, we're going to transition to the Middle East. You saw this, our media taking statistics directly from Hamas and printing them. They take Putin's propaganda points and print them as though they're news. And we've called it out here. You take what CNN puts out, you take what Fox puts out, you take what all these media outlets put out, and then you can go to RT, Russia Today, which is Russia state-owned media, and it's the same damn headline. That's what 2023 was, man. Yeah, Russian elections are in March. Putin is unchallenged. Of course he is, because it's not really an election. That's what the Republicans are trying to do here with the 2025 project, is hold out democracy till we have a fake one like they have in Russia. The Russians are government. So yeah, that's what's going on in Russia, folks. They are screwed. 2024 looks pretty damn good. They are going to have to either A, change their behavior, or B, die as a nation. The Russian Federation will collapse. They're at that point. They've gone super critical. Tom Jules, so much corruption in their army. Remember Prigozhin, he was revolting because the top generals are scamming all the money that was supposed to go to their armies. Yep. China's seeing the same thing. They're dumping money they cannot afford into their military, and it's vanishing because of corruption. And yet Republicans will tell you, be scared. Be scared. You got to be scared of them Chinese. You got to be scared of them Russians. Them Democrats ain't strong. Bullshit. 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 We're doing great, folks. We're doing great. And 2024 is going to be even better. 2024 is going to be even better. Let's talk about the Middle East for a second. What's been going on with the Houthis? And this is the Maersk Hangzhou. It's a Singapore flagged container ship. You know that we in the UK predominantly and several other countries We've come out and we've called some folks out that have. They said they didn't want to be part of the operation publicly, but then they sent ships in and financial support, and were actually part of our operation in the Red Sea. Well, we kind of outed them. We didn't let them do that. They were scared of reprisals. They were scared of terrorism in their own countries, because that's what you're looking at. But here's the Maersk Hangzhou. What's important about that is it got hit by a Iranian cruise missile fired out of Yemen. This is the Abu Mahdi cruise missile. This is an Abu Mahdi cruise missile. Forgive the pixelated picture. Their photography is about as good as they build missiles. Iran says this is stealth. You can't track it. It's bullshit. We're swatting these out of the air like crazy. We shot down 12 of these in the last 2 days. One of them, when they first started firing these things, hit the Hangzhou. But it's such a shitty missile, it didn't hurt it. No one was injured. It steamed onto its port. My point is, folks, children are starving to death in Yemen. And I thought about posting some images of this, and I decided not to. I'll leave it up to you to go find them. They're out there. Children are starving to death. That is a horrible way to die. It's painful and it's cruel. And it's starting to happen in Gaza. It is. It's starting to happen in Gaza. They're eating cats in Gaza right now, folks. They are. The clerics have said everything is halal. That's actually part of Islamic law. Yes, things are not halal in normal times, but when you're starving to death, everything is halal. Eat what you can get. That's where they're at in Gaza. Yemen is worse. Yemen is worse. But the UN is sending aid, right? I mean, we see the aid trucks go in. Yeah, the UN funds terrorist organizations. That's what they do. The aid the Houthis get goes to the Houthis. The Houthi leader's fat. He's about 30, 40 pounds overweight. But children in the street are literally starving to death. So the NGOs and UN want you to send money. Send money. Why? So you can feed the Houthis? You can feed terrorists? So you can feed Hamas? No, we have to do something different. We have to do something different. All of our best intentions, and these people are still dying horrifically. But my point is, Iran wants to be Billy Badass. Iran wants to tell you that, oh, we're the big guys on the block. They're the government that runs the Middle East. Really? So let me get this straight, Iran. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If my logic ain't there. Iran can send cruise missiles to Yemen. They can send guns. They can send ammunition. They can send trainers, people to train. They sent people to Gaza to train Hamas for the October 7th attacks. And don't deny it, they've said it themselves. I know all the pro-Palestine people were saying, oh, no, they didn't. Well, they've said it themselves now. It was revenge for the assassination of Qasem Soleimani. They did it. They said they did it. They send guns, ammunition, and rockets to Gaza. But you can't send food? You don't send food? Really? You want to be our fucking equals? Fuck Iran. You tell me you can get a goddamn cruise missile into Yemen, but you can't get a fucking cheeseburger in? Baby formula? And if you don't understand why I'm so pissed off about this, please, after this show, go Google starvation in Yemen. Go Google what's happening in Gaza. Iran and Syria and all their fucking Arab neighbors have all the money and effort in the world to send arms and sow death and destruction, but not food? Well, the last thing I'm going to say about that. The last thing I'm going to say about that is you had the ability to get Hamas to end themselves, because that's what they did on October 7th. Hamas ended themselves. No matter what anybody says, Hamas is over. Israel is not going to back down. They're not. Never again is now is exactly right. But you were able to get Hamas to end themselves. But you can't exert enough pressure to have them stop stealing all the aid, to allow food to go in. Yeah, you could do that if you wanted. You could. Gregory Deckelman says Biden would be well to remember the holy trinity of U.S. economics, the price of gas, milk, eggs. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Linda Orndorff says, I don't understand why they won't let the little children out of these war zones. I am sure because they want them dead. They want to show you, Linda Orndorff, they want to show you pictures of dead babies. That's how terrorism works. They're not a legitimate government. They're not a legitimate army. They could feed these people. They could. If you got money for a cruise missile, you got money for freaking baby formula. You can buy a hell of a lot of baby formula for what it costs to make one cruise missile. But they don't. They don't want to. It is not what they do. Carrie Barton, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. So, sum up what's going on with the Houthis and shipping in the Red Sea. Maersk, MSC, Mediterranean Shipping Company, Lloyd Hapag, the three biggies are not shipping through the Red Sea still. We are shooting down cruise missiles at the tune of about a half a dozen a day. One slipped through when they first started firing them because it was a change in weapons and tactics from slow, stupid drones to cruise missiles. Hit, like I said, hit the Maersk Hangzhou, but they're shitty weapons. I didn't even sink the boat. It didn't. But that's what's going on in the Red Sea, folks. And it will continue to go on until we lose our temper. And then we will start striking Yemen and Iran directly. That's where we're at. I appreciate you, friend. That's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to give you counter programming so that you can actually get something that is not produced out of fucking Russia. Let's talk about 2023. And we're going to tee off of the China the PMI. Actually, I dropped that chart because it was fairly complicated. Gross domestic product for 2023. There you go. Believe your own eyes. Believe your own eyes, folks. Gross domestic product is shot through the roof. That is not a fluke, folks. GDP is a big freaking deal. That's how much we're manufacturing and selling. The economy is great. The American economy leads the world. We're ahead of everyone, mainly because of this statistic right here. This is the inflation rate in the United States. You were talking about the holy trinity of milk, eggs, and gas. Well, this is what inflation looks like here in the United States. We had a peak here in 2022. And I want you to really take a look. This is 2022. This is the holidays in 2022, holidays in 2024, the inflation rate. Okay? And I'm gonna rail about the corporate media again. I want you to think about this number right here. Okay? This is the inflation rate in 2022. The numbers have come back from the holidays. The Retail Federation puts out a projection every year what they expect for holiday sales. But it's a window. It's a window. It's not a number, a specific number. It's a range. 3 to 4% is what they were predicting this year. We hit that, 3.2%. What's the year-over-year increase? As I researched these numbers, the corporate media headlines were holiday sales numbers sag below last year. And what they're talking about, the increase last year versus the increase this year. And I want you to understand the tortured logic that has to go in to that headline. This is inflation last year. This point right here. See how high that inflation is? It's almost 8% going into the holidays last year. This year, 3%. That's a 5% difference in cost. This isn't hard math, folks. This isn't high-end economic theory. So yeah, last year's numbers were buoyed by inflation because the overall cost of goods was higher. This year, inflation is 3%, where you want it to be. Folks, you will always have inflation, always. If you have a healthy economy, you have inflation. It's going to be somewhere in the 2 to 3% range is where they want it. Year-over-year growth. But think about that tortured headline. We hit expectations, right? That could have been the headline. strong numbers this year. Strong numbers this year. I get this a lot. David says, if you can't pay rent, the rest is moot. Yeah, well, the problem is, David, if you can't pay rent, it's on you, buddy. The economy is fucking fantastic. There are jobs out there. Employers are screaming that they can't hire enough people. So yeah, the right wingers are going to say that shit. They just are. And yes, I understand why some right wingers are saying that, because you have red states that are not doing as well as blue states. You do, because they've got stupid governors that do stupid things. And here's the other talking point. We've got a scorching real estate market, so it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. They will always find something bad. And that's what I'm telling you here, folks. The corporate media went to the trouble to create a tortured headline that says, oh, well, this year's numbers weren't as good as last year's numbers. Wait a minute. This year's numbers absolutely hit predictions. It was strong growth. It was what you want. You don't want these freaking spikes that are caused by inflation. You don't want that. That's not a healthy economy. You don't want that. You want healthy, consistent growth. That's what we had. The headline was, it just didn't do what we did last year. Folks, we have got to send these corporate media outlets a message. We do. Stop peddling bullshit like old David here is preaching, which is just bullshit. Just stop. We're going into 2024. This is the Dow. This is a 5-year view of the Dow. The S&P's almost identical. I didn't feel necessary to pull up multiple charts. 2021, this is when January, there you go. January, right about there, is when Joe Biden took office. That's where the Dow was. Pretty consistent all the way across. Had one little minor dip here. Picked right back up. And now it's taken off. Because that's what happens when you have long, consistent growth in your economy. The Dow will just continue to grow. And that's what we're looking at 2024. There's going to be a few dips here and there. There are. Right now, we're coming out of the holidays. I talked about the PMI, the Purchasers Index. That what that is the S&P. S&P is it's a company, and they keep track of important economic data. That's what their primary business is, and they do what they call a poll. It's not really a poll. They have contacts with specific corporations that are staples in the economy, and they take the numbers directly from these companies as to how much they're manufacturing, how much they're purchasing in resources, and they compile it together to come up with a PMI index so that we get an idea ahead of time. The PMI leads the curve. Worldwide, the PMI has peaked and is dropping slightly. That is what you'd expect after the rampant inflation that we saw, the corporate greed, where they were trying to charge you 12 freaking bucks. $12 for a 12 pack of sodas. It got that bad. And they were colluding together because those prices, man, 3 different manufacturers in my area, prices are identical. So what you would expect is the PMI to drop, because if you gouge people, they stop buying. And that's what we're going to see going into 2024. We're going to see a slight slowdown in manufacturing, but they've already figured it out. Look, those inflation numbers are just facts, folks. We're back down to 3% inflation, right where you want it. Right where you want our inflation figures to be year over year. That's a healthy economy. If you get down below 2%, your economy is retracting. You're heading for a depression. That's what that means. So we're healthy going into 2024. We're seeing normal reactions to market conditions. ZK99 beer prices have been steady. Actually, I've seen some pretty good sales. You know, talking about sodas, like I said, I won't pay more than $4 for a 12 pack. I won't, which to me pisses me off. It's $1 more than I should be paying. Gas is down. I told you, gas is going to creep up a little bit because we're going to see some conflict in Iran. We are. Iran massively overplayed their hand. They did. They massively overplayed their hand. Every major government in the world. You know, India is, everybody talks about China. China is not the predominant government in Asia anymore. It is not. India is. India is pissed. India is pissed off at Iran. And they're right around the corner. Literally, there's this much Pakistan between India and Iran. The UK, all of Europe. Ask, you know, we've got folks from Northern Europe. They're not real pleased with Iran right now either. Iran massively overplayed their hand. They did. And so we're going to see some conflict in the region. We're not going to sit there and swat down cruise missiles forever. We're going to get proactive. So yeah, soda prices, or I should say gas prices, they'll creep up again in 2024. They're going to. But you won't see the massive spikes, you know, like to $5, $6 a gallon that the Russians in our government are predicting. And that's what I really want to leave you with, folks. As I went back and I looked at all the figures, I went back and looked at everything that had happened, all of the events that had happened. The responses, yeah, there are going to be different gas prices all over the country, Toro Verde. There just are. You're not going to have the same prices that I have here in East Texas. I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from the refineries, man. Of course, you're not going to have 2.25 gas. Your place may have more taxes on the gas also. So yeah, it'll be different, but we're talking about the average. You're going to see some increases. You are. That's what happens when you have conflict. The oil markets don't like conflict, but you're going to see some. Won't be bad. We've got a competent government on our hands. We do. They handle these things well. Look at how well they handled the Middle East. Iran was trying to start a region-wide conflict. They were trying to start a region-wide conflict. Didn't work. Egypt didn't fall for it. Syria is Assad is like, I am barely holding my house together. I am not joining your war, Iran. I'm just not doing it. Russia is collapsing. That's their sugar daddy. They're all looking, these evil terrorist states are all looking at their sugar daddy fall to his knees. Fall to its knees. Putin will be gone in a year or two. He's not going to survive this. So yeah, enough is enough. Enough is enough with these Republicans, these Russians in our government. 2023 has been a good year. It's been a good year for us. 2024 will be better. And if you want to keep that going, fund Democrats. Vote Democrat. Drive Republicans, Russians out of our government. make them afraid to be the open traitors that they are. You know, right now they're trying to hold up funding to Ukraine. They're trying to sell that funding Ukraine's a bad thing. They're trying to sell that funding Ukraine is a bad thing. When Ukraine is bearing the brunt of what could have been a war across Europe. They're stopping a state funder of terrorism for us. And they're doing it for us cheap. 5% of our military budget, and Russia is broken. We should add another 5% to that and make sure they finish the job. Enough is enough. Republicans have no policies. You know, I was watching my idiot governor down here, Greg Abbott. He's posting these pictures. He's using our National Guard as photo props. He put this picture out on XChan. The National Guard at our border, trying to act like he's tough. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, that is in no way how the military would deploy its troops. The spacing, they had Humvees lined up, and okay, if you were actually trying to do something, this is a picture. This is for a picture. There's no military effectiveness in this deployment. This is for a picture. And then I go back and I look, and they're like, build the wall. And then they turn around and they show pictures. Oh, we're being invaded. Look at them come. And they're walking right through the freaking wall. They're useless. They're useless. And then they sit there and they try to this guy says, dig a moat. Dig a moat. I mean, come on, man. You know, a wall is 1,000-year-old failed technology. You want to go to 2,000-year-old failed technology? Dig a ditch. I got a better idea. Get the hell out of our way and let Democrats handle it. We'll use satellite technology. We'll use seismic sensors. We'll actually vet people coming across the border. We'll have the manpower and the technology to actually vet people coming across the border. Because right now you have employers in this, exactly, Ann Ross, invite them in. Because right now you have employers in this country that do not have the bodies to fill the jobs that they want to fill. You know, in the Dakotas, yes, immigrants absolutely pay taxes. You know, in the Dakotas, you've got meat cutters. They buy all the cattle out of Montana, process meat, freeze it, put it on trains to your local Walmart. They want to expand. They want to expand badly. They can't. Don't got the people. They can barely fill their shifts now. Don't have the people. Then Republicans will turn around and sit there. Okay, but I hear you. I hear you. Good joke, by the way. But they'll sit here and then they'll bitch about the price of beef. While Greg Abbott wastes my tax money to hire buses to drop migrants into the middle of LA, the one place they're really not needed. He's picking these cities. He's picking these cities that don't really need migrants to send more migrants to, because he's like Hamas. He wants the tragedy. He wants the photo ops. There are places in this country that really want migrants. Iowa is one. Iowa's farms run about 20% short of the labor they need every year. That affects your food prices. We Democrats want to fix that. Republicans won't let us. because they've said the quiet part out loud. Republicans have told you they'll never fix this because they want to campaign on it, because the same idiots that are trolls in our comments send them money. And they vote. So, yeah. What we have to look forward to in 2024 is an opportunity to end the Republicans and end the Republican Party as it exists. Make room for another opposition party that might actually give a shit about the American economy. Thanks, Regina Ford. I appreciate the support. I really do. Folks, Republicans don't care about our economy. You want proof? What percentage of jobs do you think were created since Reagan? We'll go back. We'll go back about a half century. Since Reagan, what percentage of jobs do you think were created under Democratic administrations? All the jobs, 100% of the jobs. What percent do you think were created during Democratic administrations? Pilot Mike thinks 0 because Pilot Mike's not bright. Jonathan Earl says 90%, 80%, 60%. Leslie says all of them. Leslie's the closest. 96% of jobs that were added to our economy were added under Democratic administrations. That's just the math, folks. Google it. 96% of all jobs that were added since Reagan have been under Democratic administrations. 96%. Because the Republicans don't give a shit about America. They don't. They give a damn about their donors. The frat boy billionaire boys club donors who make a ton of money, even if the economy goes south, because they don't care. If you sell 10 items at $100 versus selling 100 items at $10, if you're a billionaire, that first number is better because it took you less work. Now, it's terrible for your people. It's terrible for your people because your people need the jobs making that stuff. And that's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Joe Lucas, Happy New Year, Texas Paul and Mrs. Texas Paul. Thank you both for everything. Happy New Year to you folks, too. Happy New Year, Jill. Happy New Year's to you. Peter Campbell, have a wonderful New Year. Peace and health to all the potheads. Yeah, that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. We lose jobs under Republicans. Folks, corporations don't want to hire you. You're an expense. They don't want to hire you. Democrats build economies that need your labor, that need your skills, because that's what their job is when you're in the government. Your job isn't to make very wealthy people more wealthy. Your job is to create the best possible environment for your people. And Republicans are just unashamed about it. Folks, 96% of all jobs that were added to our economy since Reagan have been added under Democratic administrations. 96%. Greg Edmond, farmers are very short of skill. They are. So when you hear about these Republicans talking about, oh, there's an invasion. There is no invasion. These people are not walking across the border with freaking AK-47 saying we're taking this land. No, they're not. Hey man, I need a job. I hear you're hiring. And that's what's going on at our southern border. Hey man, that American dream, I heard about that. That sounds pretty good. That's who's coming across our southern border. And then they try to scare the shit out of you with fentanyl. I mean, I swear to God, Marjorie Trader Green went into a fentanyl scratch record loop. Fentanyl. I got an idea. You don't want fentanyl across the border? Stop fucking doing fentanyl. No, wait, we don't look at that. That's another difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans want a permanent underclass where people go to prison, get thrown into the system, and end up being slave fucking labor. Democrats, we want to decriminalize drugs so we can take a look at why people are getting high. David Robinson says, Happy New Year's, Paul. Enjoy your show. Lived in Dallas from 1977 to 1986. Keep up the good work. Thank you, sir. That's a damn truth, folks. That is the damn truth. That is another difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans want jails. Fentanyl, build jails, send an army, shoot people. Democrats are, I got an idea. Let's vet the people coming across the border. Let's build up our embassies and consulates where these people come from so that they can apply there. Let's use satellites and technology to track anybody trying to come in illegally to help our border patrol out. Let's be smart. Let's be smart. Republicans, no way, that shit would work. No way. I want jails. Let's ruin lives and shoot people. And Democrats are like, I don't know, man. I got an idea. Why don't we find out why everybody's getting so fucking high? Why are we taking so many pills? Let's figure that out. No, because then you'll want to build parks. You know? Exactly. Paul Young, great comment. Who needs science? I mean, there is a better way to do this, folks. And the rest of the world's moving on without us. You know who does things the way Republicans want to do it? China. They did. They went and they murdered their addicts. Murdered them. They did. Death sentence for being an addict. You know what they got out of that? More addicts. Do you think drug use went away in China? Fuck no. You know why? Because they didn't fix why they had so many addicts. They never looked at the problem. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, man. Jess Peachy, thanks for the support, man. I really appreciate it. Happy New Year's to you too, my friend. Happy New Year's to you too. That's just the truth. And e-biker, you're really hitting the source of it right there. If you can put somebody into the system, you're going to get slave labor out of them for life. You are. You're going to get slave wages labor out of them for life. Because even when they get out, they're not going to be able to get those high-paying jobs. They just aren't. And that's what Republicans want, man. A permanent underclass. You know, land we have. We have got land. We are not a dense population. Well, some of us are dense, but that's not what I mean. Our population density is somewhat low. It is. Our population density is somewhat low compared to the rest of the world. Land we've got. We have room for people. If we can get the workers out to the farms, food we got. We're fucking fat, man. Look, we got food. Food we got. We got land and food, which means compared to other places, we can afford to have people. And immigrants are an engine to the economy. And I want you to listen to me, you stupid idiot fucking troll. I want you to listen to this. Immigrants come over dirt fucking poor. Literally with a sack of clothes usually. $50 in their pocket, maybe. You stabilize that person. You invest in that person for 6 months. 6 months. And that person will drive your economy for 40 fucking years. Because they don't want to be dirt ass poor and broke. They're going to want to pay rent. They're going to want to buy cars. They're going to want to buy clothes. You know, the American dream. It's just an economic fact. Immigrants, when integrated into your society, are engines of your economy. Your car dealership, your local, like my little local ass Ford dealership in this little hick ass town that charges ridiculous amounts for vehicles, and these dumbasses pay them when they could just drive to a city that actually has multiple Ford dealerships and competition. That little local ass Ford dealership would love to have the business immigrants would bring to his dealership. That's what immigrants are. And we Democrats have said it over and over. We have the bills sitting on the table. Just fucking vote for it, man. We'll build the infrastructure in our consulates. We will make it so these people can come to our consulates in their home countries, do the paperwork. They don't have to pay some coyote. Some goddamn right-wing billionaire doesn't have to fund another fucking caravan. And we'll get those workers to the people that need them in our country. Instead of having Greg fucking Abbott intentionally screwing people's lives for a spectacle to make jackass Republicans feel good about hurting somebody. That's why you got to vote Democrat, folks. That's why you got to vote Democrat. We can have a bright future filled with humanity, science, decency. Go have your religion. Just stop it at the end of your fucking nose. That's a beautiful future, my friends. We can have it. Just vote. Just vote. We have in the state of Texas 40%, a 40% voting pool with people that agree with everything I'm telling you that don't show up to vote. Jinx Krug, thank you so much for keeping us informed and educated, Texas Paul. Love you too, Mrs. Paul. Jinx, I'm so glad you're here, man. Regular watcher, regular viewer. I see your comments. Great comments in chat. Glad to have you here, my friend. But yeah, that's where I'm leaving you in 2024. Even Republicans are getting tired of this crap. They were excited about DeSantis for a little while. They were. Ooh, DeSantis, that's good, man. He's got my vote. They were all over fucking TikTok. They were. Sorry about the cussing. Sorry. I'll be good, I promise. Put my cussing pond mug away. It's empty anyways. I'll go back to my proud to be American cup. Got a little bit left, cold coffee left in there. But folks, there we are. It's in your hands. It is. It's in your hands. And even Republicans are tired of this shit. They are. I mean, like I said, they were excited about DeSantis for a little bit because it was somebody that would be a dick like they want. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. It was somebody that said that they were going to hurt people, going to hurt them gay people. We're going to take your church and we're going to fund it out of the tax coffers. That's what we're going to do. We're going to fund your churches. You just build you a school and we're going to pay you vouchers and we're going to fund you out of the treasury. That's what he promised them. That's what he promised them, folks. And of course, you know, he died. His campaign's gone. They're like, oh, shit, we're stuck with Trump again. Oh, my God, we're stuck with Trump again. So about 25% of Republicans aren't going to vote. But I have to tell you, folks, this is what we're facing as Democrats. Second term presidents tend to not have the turnout that first term presidents do. And we cannot do that. We have to vote. We have to vote. We have an opportunity placed into your hands right now. And this is where we're going to seal the deal. This is what I'm going to leave it to before we go to the round table. This is in your hands, man. We can fix immigration. We can keep our wonderful foreign policy. We can improve on these policies. Our educational policies, they're already starting to forgive debt, college loans. That's the first step to actual taking people. If you can earn the grades, we will educate you because educated people benefit society and you pay us back. Educated people make a lot more money than uneducated people do. Kalina, Sarah, I really appreciate you. That's a hell of a lot of support. Thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. Folks, we're making headways in just about every way we want. You know, we took a setback on abortion because too many people didn't believe me when I told you this is what they want to do. Now you believe me. Let's get those rights back for our women. Let's get those rights back. No more second-class citizens. I guarantee you, men would not put up with that for a minute. You passed a law that said a man has to sacrifice his body for a fetus. That fetus would be dead in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. No reason needed, just because the only reason given would be, I don't want to be pregnant. But since it's women, they're really cool with saying, nah, you got to do what the fuck we say. Let's get that back. 2024, man, we can end these Republicans. No, you won't vote everyone out in 2024, not every one of them, but you'll hurt them so badly, their support will dry up because people don't like to back losers. People don't like to back losers. That's why people aren't voting for Trump. He took the L. That always hurts you politically. Always. And that's what I'm leaving you with, man. That's what I'm leaving you with. Vote. Vote. Enough is enough. Say it with me. Vote. Enough is enough. Let's do this. Okay, man. That's a good one. That's a good one. I've been harsh on you about some of your comments. That's a good one. Okay. I take back half the bad stuff I said about you, my man. I do. That was a good. Ooh, could you imagine? So you with me? Are you with me? No single issues. I don't care what it is. I don't give a damn if it's Palestine. I don't give a damn if you're a peacenik and don't want to fund the war in Ukraine. I don't care what it is. You're not going to stay home for your 5% issue. We're going to take the 95% win and we're going to vote. We're going to make us keep moving forward. We're not going to have Preacher Johnson as Speaker of the House anymore, trying to put his church and his belief in your pocket. We're not going to do that anymore. God bless you, folks. We've got about 14 minutes till noon, and then the game starts, and I'm going to run on you come hell or high water. But if you got any comments, I'm more than happy to do a roundtable with you. Any questions or comments you have about 2023 or comments about going into 2024, I would love to hear them. Please. Jesse, my man, thank you. First of all, that's a huge amount of support. Thank you, sir. I'm truly grateful. It's time to go. Enough is enough. 2024, here we go. Here we come. Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. That is our motto. Vote. Enough is enough. Vote. Enough is enough. I bought the website, folks. I'm next Wednesday's show. We're gonna have a guest. I got a great guest coming for you. I'm gonna surprise you. Not gonna tell you who it is. I'm gonna surprise you. Got a great guest coming in next Wednesday. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about what do we want to do with that website. We are a community here. I include your opinions and thoughts and feelings on what we ought to do. I bought voteenoughisenough.com. I own it. You can go voteenoughisenough.com. Go take a look at it. You'll see my pretty face on it. What do we want to turn it into? Do we want to turn it into a PAC and fund candidates? Do we want to turn it into a nexus for volunteers so that we can hook up candidates with volunteers? What do we want to do with it? I want you to think on that. And next Wednesday, I want to have a discussion on what we're going to do with voteenoughisenough.com. I want your input, people. When I tell you I respect you, when I tell you that you know what the hell's going on, that I very much enjoy talking with you, that's not bullshit. I'm not, as my dad would have said, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I don't think you're a chimney. Do I think the Republican Party is over? If so, what's next for the GOP? Yes, the Republican Party is over. It is. Is it going to die immediately? No. You've got the billionaire frat boy boys club that has 100% bought that party. You've got the Russians that have 100% bought that party. You've got an apparatus that has a line on our ballots that are whores that will do what anybody that is paying them wants them to do or say, and screw the people. And you've got a bunch of mindless turds that have been fed, and our fault. I blame us Democrats for this. We did that when they go low, we go high bullshit. That is, I mean, I love Michelle Obama, but that's one thing I have absolutely disagreed with her about 100%. When they go low, you grab your fact bat, you jump in that ditch with them, and you crack them some bitches on the head. That's what you do. You fight. You fucking fight. That's what you do. You don't go high. You know, that's why the Republicans are, you got all these dumbasses in the Republican Party that just say stupid shit. Why? Why did they brand themselves that? They don't understand policy. They don't know enough to really be engaged in politics. Why? Because the Republicans, thanks for the support, man. Texas Paul and Texas wife chat. I didn't get to read it all. And chat, I joke to show how ridiculous MAGA thought it is. I love you folks, and I am a true blue all the way. I'm sorry, man. I thought you were being sincere. I thought you were trolling for a second. My bad. I sincerely apologize, my friend. Thank you for being here. So look, how did the Republican Party get to where it is? How did they get the voters that it did? I can sum this up for you in two minutes. The Republican Party, you remember Newt Gingrich, you remember Lee Atwater. You may not remember Lee Atwater. He's one of the ones that started this shit. Karl, you remember his protege, Karl Rove. I know you know who Karl Rove is. They came up with policies. They took a look at what Lyndon Baines Johnson said. Remember when he talked about racism and why people vote the way they vote? Why do white people vote the way they vote? Why do poor white people vote the way they vote? Lyndon Baines Johnson just spoke hard truth about that. He said, if you give a white man, the lowest white man, a black man to look down on, you don't have to pick his pockets. He'll turn his pockets out for you. That applies to more than racism, folks. And that's what the Republicans did. Their rhetoric was hateful and condescending and shitty towards us Democrats, and we Democrats screwed up. They said, you're a commie. And we said, well, let me tell you how our policies benefit you. That's not how you win political wars, people. It's not. It is not. This is how you win political wars. This is how you win political wars. You tell the truth. But you don't tell that person that just called you a commie that, hey, man, your trickle down doesn't work because the wealthy people, they take that money and they invest it and they buy back stocks and they don't really put it into workers. So there really is no trickle down to you. It's just the rich getting richer. You say, fuck you, man. Quit sucking balls. That's what you're doing. You're sucking the man's balls. You're giving this guy tax cuts, hoping that he's going to let you lick his testicles. That's what you're hoping. That's how you message people. It's the truth. But you fight. You fight. You stand up. People follow strength, folks. People follow strength. Show it. Show strength. And that's why I bought voteenoughisenough.com. Enough is enough. Yeah, there you go. Jasmine Crockett. She is one of my heroes right there. I'm going to get her on the show. I promise you. I promise you. In fact, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to contact Jasmine Crockett's office and tell her to come on my show. Because she is absolutely exactly what I'm talking about. She says, Jasmine Crockett doesn't need your bat. Her tongue tears all a new place. This is a metaphor, my friend. This is a metaphor. I don't really hit people with this bat. I don't. This is a metaphor. This is Jasmine Crockett's tongue. That woman is badass. She will sit there. Jared Moskowitz is another one. Will sit there and they will tear Republican ass up. Oh, that was one thing. I forgot to put this into the show. There's one thing that I want to wrap it up. We only got 6 minutes left. I want one little thing. One other thing that has died in 2023 that we absolutely killed. And I'm going to pat myself on the back for it because it was us, not the corporate fucking media that killed this. Investigations. We killed Republican investigations. Jim Jordan was put in charge of a weaponization of government committee to investigate. It was the most hypocritical. Goebbels lie and accuse them of what's your guilty moment in history. They took the Republicans who absolutely weaponized government. They hold sham investigations and then lie about it, and the corporate media covers it. We killed that this year. We killed it. And we killed it by going low road. Old James Chicken Fried Comer wanted to talk about Hunter Biden and his business deals. So we talked about James Comer and his business deals, and Darren Cleary, the construction guy that he's partnered with in a shell company, bought a little lot of land for $50,000. Now it's worth $1 million. Woohoo! Worth $1 million bucks. Because that's what happens when you buy in with a developer. All of a sudden, your land, which is just a fucking field of trees in it, is a shopping center. That's a pretty eloquent bribery. Oh, Ken Paxton, evil Popeye. Oh, Ken Walleye Paxton did same shit down here, partnered up with a damn contractor. That's what Republicans do. We killed that shit. They tried to bring these former disgraced, fired FBI agents in and to talk about investigations they weren't even part of, and we humiliated them. Corporate media tried to run with, well, they brought in FBI agents to talk about, yeah, let's talk about the FBI agent. Oh, that guy was fired for corruption? Oh, Kash Patel paid that FBI agent to be here? Oh, yeah. We killed those investigations. We killed them. They'll never be able to get away with that again. They did that shit to the Clintons with Whitewater, never charged them with a damn thing wrong. In fact, they proved that the Clintons got ripped off. But the corporate media ran with it. Anything they'd say. That's why Hunter Biden said, we're not doing this shit in private. We're doing this in public. The people, the American people, me, Texas Paul, I will see the questions you ask and the answers you get. The dude of SoCal says the greatest check on American industry is organized laborers. Amen, amen, brother. Amen. The UAW contracts have forced Tesla and Toyota to pay higher wages. Amen, brother. Amen. 100%. But yeah, folks, 2024 is ours. It is ours. Show up and vote, and we got this. It's been wonderful talking to you, spending the last day of the year with you. I love you, folks. I really do. I love you. I try not to be a broken record on things. Sometimes I know I repeat. I repeat points every once in a while. I do. But sometimes they're worth repeating. I want you to have a wonderful year. Enjoy. 2023 was a good year. 2024 is going to be even better. The future is bright, folks. The future is bright. I'm not saying problems will never come. Problems will always come. But we're going to put people in place that deal with the problems, that look to work for the American people. That's what we're going to do. We're going to destroy the Republican Party, which is just a whole bought and paid for apparatus to do special, for the billionaire frat boys clubs, just do whatever the hell they want, or the Russians do whatever the hell they want. We're going to stop that. We're going to make room for a real opposition party, because we're not like the Republicans. We don't want one party rule. We don't. We know we need a counter to us. We know what happens when we get 100% power. We go way too far left. We just do. It's what we do. We need somebody to check on us. So no, we're not sitting here saying, give us all the power. We want to hold all the power. No, we're saying kill the Republican Party so we can have a real opposition party take its place, so that our two-party system can work. But it starts with you. Vote Democrat no matter what. No matter what. Vote Democrat. Amen. Unions, support your unions. Support organized labor. Let's do the right thing. Build a beautiful future. It's in our hands. It's in your hands. Let's do this. So, Texas Paul out. I want you to enjoy some beautiful Texas cities at night.